What is up, everybody? I'm coming at you with a different video. I've decided to take a break and try some new things away from gaming. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a virtual machine for whatever y'all want it to be for. So to get started, you're going to want to download the software to run the virtual machine. The software I'm going to be using is VirtualBox. It's a free open source VM running software. It just helps create VMs and it's completely free. So if you're running Windows, you're going to want to download the Windows host. If you're running on Mac, you're going to want to download OS X hosts. For the Linux distributions, you're going to want to click on the Linux distribution and then find the Linux OS you're running. So they have Ubuntu, the latest 22.04. They got Oracle based Linuxes for Red Hat Enterprise software, CentOS, CentOS X. You got Debian for Kali Linux. I'm pretty sure Kali runs on Debian, the latest version runs on Debian 11, I believe. Then you have your other Linux distributions. And then if you're running a Solaris host, you have these your options right here. I'm not sure what Solaris does, but to each their own. The virtual machine I'm going to be setting up in this video is going to be Ubuntu 20.04. So you can just go to the Ubuntu website and click on, let's see, Ubuntu 20.04.4 for the version I'm going to be running, and then you can just download the desktop image. And if you want the server version, you can download the server install. So once you have your VirtualBox installed, set up, and running, you're going to want to click New. You're going to want to give your virtual machine a name. So for this, I'm just going to be calling it Ubuntu. You're going to want to choose the folder where the virtual machine is going to be. You're going to choose the type. So whichever distro you're using. So Microsoft Windows would be obviously Windows. Linux would be for Ubuntu, CentOS, Kali, Pop, any of those that you're going to be running Linux distro wise. For me, I'm going to be choosing Ubuntu, then Ubuntu, the version of Ubuntu, which is Ubuntu 64-bit. Here you get to choose the memory size. I'm going to be choosing 2 gigs, so that'd be 2042 megabytes. And then for the hard disk, you can either have it not add a virtual hard disk or create one, or if you already have an existing one you want to reuse, you can choose that here, then find the virtual hard disk. For me, I'm just going to be creating a new one, so create. It's going to tell you the file location where the hard disk is going to be saved to. You can choose the size of it. For me, I'm just going to leave it at 10 gigabytes. You can do dynamically allocated, which it will add more storage to the virtual hard disk as needed, or you can do a fixed size where it'll just be locked at that 10 gigabyte limit I have set. For the hard disk file type, you can either do the VirtualBox disk image, which is VirtualBox's own hard disk software, I guess. You can do just a basic virtual hard disk, or you can do a virtual machine disk. I'm not quite sure the difference in these two, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to do a virtual hard disk. I'm going to hit create, and this will take probably 30 seconds to a few minutes. It all depends. So I'm going to cut to when it's done. Alright, so I am back. My system just finished allocating, so real quick, I'm going to go through the settings and talk about them a little. So in the general, you have where you can change the type of the VM it is, the version you're running. This is just the basic, so you can change only these few. If you go to the advanced, you can change where the snapshot folder will be, which is like a save state of where the VM last left off that you snapshotted. You can add a shared clipboard and drag and drop. You can add a description if you choose to. You can also add disk encryption. Now to the system, it says motherboard, but it's really the virtual hardware settings. So here you can allocate more RAM if you need. You can change the boot order of what boots first. You can change the chipset if you choose. The USB table, you can choose USB multi-touch tablet or the PS/2 or PS2 mouse. You can enable the I/O APIC, which is automatically enabled. That's all for the motherboard that's needed. For processors, I believe this is how many cores that your virtual machine will have. So for mine, since it's just a basic test machine, it's just gonna have one. I'll add another or two more when needed. You can add extended features like enable PAX, PAE, which I have no knowledge of what that actually does, nor do I have any knowledge of this. I believe this is for virtualization inside the virtual machine though. You can add acceleration, but I honestly just leave everything default. For the display, you can choose how much video memory gets allocated to it. The monitor count, if you want to add more monitors. You can choose the graphic controller. So it's just gonna use the virtual machine VGA, basic virtual adapter. You can enable 3D acceleration, but it doesn't really add much. You can add a remote display, which if you just enable server, you can add the server port. You can add an authentication method, authentication timeout. This I believe is in milliseconds. Yeah, it's in milliseconds. And you can also allow multiple connections. You can do recording. Here, let me turn that off. You can do recordings. You can record basic the virtual machine. I don't really see a use for this, since if you're running a virtual machine, I assume your computer is capable enough to do a screen recording with like OBS. Okay, now we're on to the storage. Here you can add more storage devices, more hard drives, essentially. And you can, here's my hard drive that I have. So it's the 10 gigabyte. You can make it a solid state drive, but I'm just gonna leave it basic SATA. Controller IEDE, that's for CD-ROMs. CD, DVD drive, it's just that. You can change the audio connector. So for here, it's just going to be Windows Direct Sound, which is basic Windows audio driver. You can add a network adapter if you so choose. I just leave mine to use the network my PC is connected to. You can add serial ports if you need to. I don't see a need for them in this demonstration, but you can. You can add multiple USB filters, multiple USB devices, but this basically just allows you to say you had 2 keyboards and 2 mice. You can set a keyboard and mouse to only be used on the virtual machine. That way you have your main keyboard and mouse to use outside of the virtual machine. You can add a shared folder if you need to, and you can change up the user interface. So this is the settings. Not really going to change much. So from here, we just power it up and hope it works. I've been having trouble getting virtual machines running on my system, and I have no clue why. So here, we're gonna choose a startup disk. Gonna go here, gonna add a ISO. So I'm gonna go here, Ubuntu 22.04, desktop AMD 64. I'm gonna choose that and start. Hopefully this works. Try or install Ubuntu, yes. And there, Ubuntu is now installing. Just all you have to do from this point is just run through the install method and get everything configured as you see fit. Alright, I'm back. So I'm gonna walk you through the install process. So when you get to the first part of the install, you're gonna want to click install Ubuntu. You can also do try Ubuntu, which allows you to run a cut down version of Ubuntu and get a feel for it, test for it, but I don't really see a need for it. So from here, let's go back. So you choose your language. For me, English. I'm gonna do install Ubuntu, which will install the OS onto the virtual hard disk fully. Again, my keyboard layout, English US. Hit continue. This is all real simple, basic OS installation, so I'm gonna do the normal install, but you can do the minimal install if you just want the basic utilities and web browser. For me, I want it all. So now we're gonna continue moving forward. Alright, so here you can choose the installation type. You can either choose it to erase the whole disk and install Ubuntu, which is what I'm gonna do, or you can do the something else option. This, you can create and resize partitions yourself and choose multiple partitions for Ubuntu. For me, I'm just gonna do erase disk and install Ubuntu. But if you want, you can also add advanced features like use Linux virtual machine with the new Ubuntu installation, or erase disk and use ZFS, which I believe is a file transfer service. Not 100% sure. Haven't done much looking into this, but I'm gonna hit cancel. Just do my normal Ubuntu install. When you get to this, it's gonna tell you the partitions tables from the following devices are changed, and the following partitions are going to be the following partitions are going to be formatted. So since this is a fresh drive, this doesn't matter to me. So I'm just going to hit continue. I'm going to choose my region, so I'm just going to say screw it and leave it as New York, even though it's not where I live. Alright, from here, what you want to do is going to put a name in. So for this, I'm going to do test. The computer's name is going to be test-VirtualBox. You can pick a username, so I can add multiple numbers, letters if I want. I'm just going to leave it all test. I'm going to choose a password, so something simple and easy to remember. Damn it, if I can fucking type. If this is gonna be your daily driver and not for testing purposes, or if you're gonna actually be doing actual work on this virtual machine, you're gonna want to have a little stronger of a password. Excuse me, fuck. Don't know why I'm yawning. You're gonna want to have a little bit of a stronger password than just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just putting that there since this is only for testing purposes. So hit continue. Now it's gonna start installing the system, the OS. So I'm gonna cut it and we'll pick back up when it finishes the installation process. Alright, I'm back. The installation is complete. Now we just have to restart the virtual machine to finalize it. Now my OS is finally installed fully, so we just click on my user, entered my extremely easy password, and in a few seconds hopefully it lets me in, and I'm in. Now I'm gonna skip that. Next. Done. Alright, now we're at the full Ubuntu, basically home screen. So I'm gonna exit settings, and now we can basically do whatever we want. So that's all for this tutorial. I guess you could call it a tutorial, but I hope you learned something, and if this type of stuff interests you and you would like me to go even further in depth on how virtual machines work, or how to just set up different types of system instances, say I can go into a Windows tutorial for Windows Server and Windows, hell, I can probably do a Windows 11 instance if that is something y'all would like to see. If not, I can go into the more technical side of some of the things that you can do with these instances and some of the broader uses for them. So, as of right now, thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye.